Hi everyone, welcome to video module 5. In this module, we are going to discuss the differences between personnel management and human resource management. The term human resource management is relatively the new and it was started in usage since 1991 in Indian context. Before, the same was described as personal management because the personal management is something, the old term, which was used especially in the manufacturing industries, right? In that context, the people describe personal management as a kind of old bottle, and human resource management is the new wine in the old bottle. So in this, we'll just start looking at the differences. So the purpose of this model is to understand what is personal management and what is the human resource management, and from that perspective, we just look at the differences and then try to understand the two different aspects of human resources. When you look at the various dimensions that are there in the organization, right, and especially if you just look at the employment contract or employment, right, so employment offering and employment creation in case of personal management, it is something careful delineation of written the contract. You can see that very strongly written contract is made between the employer and employees in case of personal management. Whereas the human resource management is all about aim to go beyond the contract. Right? It is not that contract. Of course, contract will be there. It is just only for the sake of knowing each other, accepting each other as employer and employee. But no, as far as work is concerned, they always think and go beyond the employment contract that was made between the employer and employees. And the second, the dimension of the organization, which is going to differentiate these two, PM and HRM, the rules and regulations of the organizations. When you look at the rules and regulations of the organization, the PM that gives the importance of devising the clear rules, because it always operates based on the rules and regulations, right? Whereas human resource management is something can do outlook and then impatience with the rules. So they may not follow the rules, but completing tasks and doing job as per the requirement is more important than simply following or blindly following the rules. So the third, the dimension is which is going to differentiate between these two, the guide to management actions. So if you just look at the the management system, it is something very procedural, like a traditional, right? You can see that personal management is a traditional approach. You can see is a procedure for strictly, they follow the procedure and system, rules, regulations. Whereas human resource management is something with the business needs. It depends on the business requirements. If the business needs, one has to change anytime in a given point of requirement. So that is the human resource management. So then fourth important thing is the behavioral the referent. So when you look at the behavior, so it is all behavioral modifications. Behavioral is guided by the norms, customs, and then practices. And so whereas human resource management is all about the values and then missions. So it is something related to the broader perspective. So personal management is something based on the certain rules and regulations within the framework, and the human resource management goes beyond that the boundaries and then the framework, and always looks at the long-term orientation and then the broader approach. So the fifth one is the managerial, the tasks, vice versa, the labor. It is monitoring. It is something related to monitoring and then supervising and strictly the following whether they are doing job as per our requirement or not. It is something the personal management orientations. So if you look at the human resource management is something nurturing and giving training program, identifying their competency, the capabilities, and then encouraging them further to enhance the competencies and improve the performance. So this is the main issue of human resource management. Further, if you look at the speed of the decisions, in case of personal management is slow, whereas HRM is always looks at very fast disposal of everything. They won't keep any pending. So that is the HR. So then when you just see that management roles are transactional and it is a transformational. It is just only the person management always a transactional related. There's no, so what you are going to do if I pay this one and I'm paying this much, you have to do that much. So something is transactional related. So the human resource management is a transformational. So let us all work together. Let us go together, and then so let us all get benefited out of whatever that we are going to do. It is something related to the mutual. So here we will find that human resource management works with the trust, and personal management works with lack of trust, and then they don't want to trust. They don't want to keep trust on the people because they treat the people as the commodity, and the human resource management treats the people as resources. So in that context, you can see further the next dimension is communication. So the communication in personal management is indirect. So directly, employees don't have any contacts with the employer. So always it is an indirect relations, and whereas human resource management is a direct. So because in personal management you can see the collective bargaining. So the role of trade unions and then associations are very strong in personal management. And human resource management you will not find much role for the trade unions because directly employees deal with the employer, and then if they have any issues they will settle down and then clear all the issues. So the another important thing is the praised the management the skills. Like you can see that the negotiation, it is always negotiating what you are doing and what I am expecting, what you can do for us. So this is the kind of the deal with the people in the personal management orientation. So whereas human resource management is the facilitation. So whatever you want, you just tell us, we are ready to give you, and this is what we are expecting from you. So this way you can see that more friendly, more approach, and more concern, and giving more emphasis on the feelings and sentiments, and then happiness, unhappiness, satisfaction, dissatisfaction. Everything is taken into consideration by human resource management. Whereas the personal management, so don't give any weightage of these kind of things. Like so, no weightage for feelings of the people at workplace as far as personal management is concerned. So the selection is in the personal management is a separate and managerial the tasks. So whereas here it is integrated in the key tasks. So then the labor management is something collective bargaining, and here individual bargaining. So the collectively, the group wise, there is a bargaining process in the personal management, and in the human resource management, individual bargaining, one can go and then talk whatever they want, even they can demand more salary because they are doing more work. Whereas in personal management, that kind of collectivism is not there. In personal management, only collectivism, and then individual approach and individual the space is not there in the personal management. So then the job categories and the grades are many, and in human resource management you will find very few. So job design is something like division of labor via the teamwork. So here division of labor is there in the personal management, and then human resource management is talking about the teamwork, and then so there you will find the more attachment, and then more bondage and more relations in case of human resource management. And then the last one is the conflict handling is reach temporary the truths, like settlement is based on the rules and regulations, whereas human resource management is something managing the climate and then culture and resolving the issues in an amicable manner without affecting anyone's interest and then the belief system. So that is human resource management. This way you can see there are 14 various dimensions that are there in the organization, so which you can see the differences between the personal management and human resource management. So further, if you just look at the differences, you can see that the respect for the employees. So you can see that the employee, the labor is used as a tools. It is not as the resources, as I was mentioning. Human resource management treats the people as the most important assets. Whereas the shared interest is the interest of the organizations are uppermost, and whereas HR deals with the mutuality and mutual interest. So here PM is always talking about the interest in the benefits of the organization, not looking at the human side. So the evaluation is the process of proceeds the HRM, and then listen to each and every aspect when it is the evaluation. So then the locus of control is external and is internal. So externally always there is a force to control, but here it is a self-regulated self mechanism that happens in the human resource management. And further, if you look at the organizational the principles like mechanistic and then top-down centralized approach, whereas it is organic and then bottom-up and then decentralized. So here the lot of freedom is there when human resource management, and then person management is a completely strict, and then lack of autonomy and freedom is existing in the personal management working environment. The key relations are labor management relations, here the customer relations, because always look at the employees as a customers, because if they are happy and you can see that they are going to work for us in a qualitative manner. That is the belief of human resource management. And further, if you look at the initiativeness is like pessimal and then here integrated, and then the payment is the job evaluation is the main criteria, and here human resource management is something related to performance related. So even juniors will get more salary in human resource management if the performance is very high, and whereas the personal management follows the seniority irrespective of their output. So it is based on the age and then experience, the payment will be made by the personal management. That is the difference. The last one is training and development is something controlled and accessed only few people. It is not for based on the rationalized judgment. And whereas human resource management is always looking at the learning the companies, because learning of the employees is going to bring the dynamic organizations. So you can see these are the main the differences between these two. And further, if you just look at the characteristics of human resource management, from all these things you can derive that the people oriented, action oriented, individual oriented, and development oriented, the perceived function and continuous the function, and the future oriented, challenging functions and science as well as art, the staff function, young disciplines, and then you can see that you can see that entire organization is all about nervous system. So you can see these are the various issues under the human resource management. It's something in the people driven and people centric and people oriented, and keeping the people first in the organization, giving importance for their emotions and then the feelings in the workplace. In that context, you can see that the role of human resource management is a strategic role at the top management level, and the operational role at the middle level, and then employee advocate, and then supporting the employees' requirements, and then in a general administration also it has its own role in the organization. So in that way, the human resource management is very broad, and then that gives the utmost importance for the human resources, treats the human being as an asset, unlike personal management. So with this, let me just stop here, and looking forward to meet you again in the last the video of this session, that is the sixth one. Thank you very much.